Hello and welcome to the Braincast. I'm here with my buddy, Becky Adelberg. We met through our mutual friend, Shiley, and who I've yet to talk with yet, but it sounds like this month won't work either due to holidays.
Yes.
But Shiley spoke so highly of you, and then after our meeting, I thought we were then considering partnering, and so I thought it's fun for us to get together. So how about you? So Ballbrain Creative, I do video, audio.
With all this amazing equipment
With all this cool
here.
gear, which we'll get a nice selfie of.
We're at a Sketchbag co-working space, and we've transformed it into a really
Production.
awesome studio. Yeah.
Events is how we got in touch, right?
So, well, everything I'm saying is under the umbrella of CommunityConnect Consulting, which is my business. And what do I have going on right now? A lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I left, just background, but you know some of this. I left my full-time position last November. I was running an entrepreneurship program for 4 years and running young adult events and some travel over there for 6.5 years. And got an opportunity I'd launched my business in a part-time way. I thought of it 6 years ago, but I launched it in January of 2017 with a partner and saw that we were getting some clients and we weren't really marketing, so...
Knew you're onto something.
So now I work for an amazing organization called Reboot, and I consider them my main client. I'm a consultant for them, and I decided to take the chance. And, you know, I always say you have to know, like, what kind of entrepreneur you are. Are you one that goes all in? And not, like, any of them aren't wrong.
Right.
You know, there's just different styles. I taught entrepreneurship, and I told my students this, that you just have to know, and all of them are great. It's just, like, knowing yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And what works for you.
Yeah.
So some people have a full-time gig. They want the stability.
Yeah.
And then they, and then they're doing, like, side hustles, I call them, or passion projects on the side. Some people are, like, half and half, and some people, or maybe they have, like, a part-time job and then they're working on theirs, and some people are all in.
Right.
I looked back at myself, and I guess I've always been an entrepreneur, even before everyone was an entrepreneur
Right.
and saying they were. I always, I worked with established organizations, but I kind of, like, ran my own thing within them, which I was really grateful for. And so
That's nice.
kind of always had that style. And, in November, I decided to go for it, and I work with Reboot part-time right now, and they're my main client. And then the rest of the time, I do project management. So I say that I help launch things. And project management, to a lot of people, they're like, well, what is that? Are you marketing? Are you events? But I say it's all of those things and more. It's really taking a vision and bringing it to life. So with Reboot, they're a national organization, and I'm launching them here in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But then...
That's cool.
Then there's smaller projects where I worked on a 10-day teen entrepreneurship program for the last 2 years. I put together all the logistics of where they were going to travel in Chicago. They toured around, they volunteered, and then they learned about entrepreneurship. So that was like a 10-day kind of project. And then I'm working on a trip now with a friend of mine. He also has a consulting business, to go to Thailand in February. So if anyone out there is interested, and all of this is on my website, there's a great organization here. I say they're my pro bono clients, and we're all volunteers, called Shy Tribe. And we just had a launch party last week. We had 200 people.
Nice.
On a Wednesday night. It was pretty awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah, we were really happy. It's really like an organization run, we're not saying we're the heads of it. We're just kind of putting it together. But it's an online platform to find any Jewish events happening in Chicago. Just go to one place and you can find it all. And then we want people to try out different projects or events or programs that they might be interested in, and kind of like an incubator of sorts. So we have a few things happening there. Someone's overseeing a blog. There's a few different things happening with that. And my most exciting, or they're all exciting, but something that's about to happen, not to overwhelm anyone out there, is a women's entrepreneurship program. So I love helping organizations or nonprofits or companies launch whatever vision, whatever project that they're looking for. But what I really missed when I looked back at the year, what I've missed is teaching and working with entrepreneurs specifically. After overseeing that program for 4 years, and I
Mm-hmm.
taught entrepreneurship to new immigrants,
Wow.
I just realized like that's what I was really missing. And so I am in a program right now for women with a business coach, because I feel like even though you can help, I can help others really think through their businesses and strategy and vision, but it's always harder to do for ourselves
Right.
sometimes. And it's really good. I believe everyone should have like that structure
Yeah.
in place, supportive, environment to help you like achieve your goals and move forward.
Right.
So in that program, I was talking to my business coach about it, and I decided, I'm going to start this women's online entrepreneurship program. So it's piloting November 8th. It's really supposed
Hopefully
to.
this will be out by then. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's piloting November 8th, and it's going to be 3 months. November 8th till February 8th, there's going to be expert presenters in different fields. People are going to come out with a business plan, and their pitch is going to be really fine-tuned. And it's all going to be online, so it's trying to be easy, but we are going to end it with a big networking event.
Good.
In Chicago that people will come to. We have people from all over the country and possibly the world who are a part of this, but the event will be in Chicago in February sometime. So that's what's happening. My long-winded way.
No, that's all good stuff. It's not just like one boring thing. So
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad way to say it. But so as you were saying that about teaching entrepreneurship, is it the energy that you missed?
Yeah, maybe it was. I didn't really think about it that way, but
like just like people that are excited and like
yeah,
go-getters. And
I feel like I'm a really passionate person. I can't like do anything unless I'm excited about it or I believe in the mission. I mean, sometimes we have to, unfortunately, but, and there's parts to businesses that maybe we might not be as excited about. Like, I know for me, like, the accounting is not my favorite, or the legal stuff, but luckily there's experts in those areas. But, yeah, I guess when I started to run the program, I actually did not want to run this entrepreneurship program that I was talking about from the last 4 years that I oversaw. It was offered to me, and I'm a community builder. I like to bring people together, especially people who might think they're different, but then they see they're actually pretty similar. And so I love to do like intergenerational stuff or interfaith, all these different kinds of backgrounds, and really come together and see all the things that unite us instead of divide us. So I didn't see this program as a tool for that, and I was actually wrong. It actually was an amazing tool to build community, and a lot of people who weren't involved in the organization at the time got involved through this, like the entrepreneurship was the way they got involved. And I just loved being around this group. It was social entrepreneurship,
like a meaning, or like business for a meaning kind of thing.
Yeah, like anything that provides meaning. So I'd say like if it's health, environment, education, it could be any of those things, and it could be a for-profit or a nonprofit. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's nonprofit, but no, for-profits can do that too.
Right.
My company is a for-profit.
You don't have to be a jerk just because you need to make money and live.
Yeah, I helped a lot of the people who were in my program think about, it's really about like, why are you doing this? And then bringing that out into your message. Like, why are you so excited about this? And then once people say that, it's like, oh, that's the social component.
Right.
But yeah, I missed, I have got to meet you and, other people who are really passionate about what they're doing and entrepreneurs, and I love that. But yeah, I guess I did miss like being in that environment. And so.
Is there one thing that you kept noticing about all the people, like either the failure or the successes?
I never say there's failures.
Right, because you learn.
Because I feel like, and even in the program I'm launching, I say it's for people who have an idea but don't know how to make it happen.
Things that don't work at this moment. Maybe that's a better way.
Yeah, I never wanted
I don't agree
the
with
people
failure
in
either.
it to think, and I felt like some people did walk away thinking like, oh, I didn't launch my business. But you know what? Like, I was in the program that I ran 6 years ago, and I didn't launch my business till January. The idea was out there, and it's changed a lot. But yeah, till January of 2017, that didn't officially get launched. And that was several years. I was in the program in like 2012, I think, 2011. So several years later.
Yeah.
So I think the skills that you acquire, you can use for, and that's another point I want to get on the program is, try one idea. Maybe it's a passion project. Doesn't mean that's the business you need to launch.
Right.
Like you can take those skills and apply them to your full-time job.
Right.
To, everyone's talking about like innovation and thinking forward and that's kind of what companies want. And so you can bring these skills and that mindset into whatever you work at, and maybe you'll launch multiple companies or products or businesses. So.
Whenever the time is actually right.
Yeah, so I never feel like it's a failure. Like I kind of got to sit through and learn all these different lessons because I was running this program for 4 years, so it was like it's kind of ingrained in me now. This stuff, but also every time I went through it, I learned new things.
Right.
And, we bring in, like, entrepreneurs, which I'll be doing in my program. And, and everyone has, like, a different story and a different lesson to share. So you're constantly, like, I feel like learning different skills and evolving. Right. And then, with marketing, which we've connected on a lot, like, I studied marketing in undergrad and PR and advertising. And that's so different now, right?
Right.
Like, with social media. And, it changes, like, every year. Mm-hmm. Like, this year's the year of the video, I feel like. Yeah. So, as long as you're engaging with these concepts and, but I do feel like some people are more drawn to it, maybe.
Like for the successes, you're saying the entrepreneur people, they're just drawn to
I think it's hard to run your own business.
It is. It is. It was like, as 8 years in the trading field, I was in charge of sales and trade, like doing the thing, but it was all at the desk, like where it's running around and then the accounting, because at least, you didn't really have to do the accounting. It was just your monthly accounting and then you get the check and then taxes. But yeah, there's just so many more things.
You're not reporting to anyone.
Right.
I report to people in my different projects, but the overall business,
Right. Yeah. Accountability.
I'm the one responsible. So.
Accountability, I think, is difficult and can be. I think that's the biggest thing, like how motivated you are internally. Yeah. And then can you hold yourself accountable, or with the coach, the one thing that, because I've been looking for one too, because I think it was Michael Jordan, they say just he had a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
I think everyone.
He's the great, one of the best. So it's like, that's
awesome.
the point. And Olympians all have coach. It's like, you just need that other person to go, push and digest your ideas and blah, blah, blah. So
time management is also a big part of it. And the nice thing is it's so flexible, right? And you can, your time is it's just something small, but I thought about it yesterday. I was at the grocery. He's like, oh, are you off of work? Trader Joe's, they're so friendly.
Right. So, yeah.
So he's like, oh, are you done with work? And I'm like, well, I had a meeting around here. I'm taking a break, but I'm not really ever done, right?
No.
And so, so this is what I wanted to say before is two things. One, I tell entrepreneurs, and I check in with myself frequently about this. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to really want to work on it all the time, because this is what you're going to be working on all the time. Right. And I think for me, what I like is that I get to work with this variety of projects and organizations and really help them further their mission. Mm-hmm. So for me, I know that I need to be working on multiple things. That's just my personality. Right. And I like to and that was essentially why I left my last position, because I wanted to take those skills and work with multiple organizations and not just with one.
Instead of just one lane.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's the one thing I say is you have to, but at the same time, because you're passionate about it, and I learned this from Johnny Immerman, who started Immerman Angels. He's amazing, and he talked about how in the beginning, and Johnny, I'm sorry if I'm misquoting you, but I heard him speak a few times to the group I was running, but he talked about in the beginning how he wasn't taking care of his health because he was so passionate about what he was doing that day in and day out, barely sleeping and stuff like that. And so sometimes, I'm a really big advocate of people tell me a lot, you're so busy, and I'm but I actually I also make sure to balance and I get massages. I like to chill, yoga, work out, friends and family, it's really important, especially when you're an entrepreneur where you're not 9 to 5 and you could just, I mean, like the work never ends, right?
Right.
You could constantly, like, I'm like, oh, I can update my business card. I can update
Right.
my website. There's always more you can do.
Yeah,
So.
always. And that is, because that was kind of where I got to this, because I started with my passionate, one, with an art gallery, and then two, I thought I wanted to just teach drum lessons. Like I was doing it as
That's
part-time,
awesome.
and I was like, well, let's just dive into that. Because it's like one of those things, it's
That's
like
so
you never
cool.
test it, you'll always regret it. So
Right.
that was like,
Yes.
all right, what if I do it? And then I was like, no.
If you're
Like,
always thinking about it, then you need to, like, think about
You gotta try it.
Yeah, you got to try it.
and that's what because I started doing videos on social media, and then like these random people would just start talking to me about. Everyone was talking to me about drums, and then I changed what I do, and like guitar players, just everyone random that I just kind of knew.
Yeah.
But then the first thing they would do is just talk to me about drums, or if I
So
changed
you're
my
a drummer,
setting.
like hand drum, or like awesome.
Heavy and
Wow, you have so many cool.
heavy and rock, and yeah, I'm like an all-around artist guy.
I love it.
So it was like all these I'd meet. So I have these Chicago circle of metal guys and rock guys that I see at shows, and then they end up following me on Instagram, and then first thing start talking to me about drums, and then I change up because it's just me playing, but if I change up the background or what I'm doing, it was interesting because it would influence the conversations that they would have. Like I did this one event, this big film event at Unity Temple in Oak Park,
Okay.
the Frank Lloyd Wright building, and then
Nice.
for like it's actually almost a year to the date, but months after that, the first time everyone would just come up to me, they would just start talking to me about Frank Lloyd Wright. Like that was the first thing they would do. It was like, interesting. So that's how you're not selling anything, but you're influencing people's decisions, and you're changing the conversation. It was like, did you ever watch Mad Men?
Very minimal.
So
My
it's
parents
okay.
love it.
I ended up getting, I don't know, I think at the time I just wanted
I
something
get
to
into
watch.
like maybe so I never like know what's on. I just find out like what's
Eventually,
on TV from
and
other
then-
people. So
I watched The
that's,
Office
how
like a year ago, like 4 years after it's over. But
Yeah, I'm
that's how
always,
I
like,
am. It's
later
just
than-
like, okay, now I had the time. But he had, his thing was like, if you don't like what they're saying, change the conversation.
Yeah, I
and
love
I think
that.
that's an interesting way, because it's really what's happening in the current political environment. Like this guy is directing the conversation to whatever the heck he wants. And then
Right.
everyone wags his his tail, like,
Right.
oh, well, he said this, so let's spend all day on. So he's literally directing every conversation,
Yeah.
instead of allowing them, like the news, to actually direct the conversation. He's doing it, which is the marketing, which is the greatest marketing thing to do. Just always be in front,
Right.
and you're telling people what to think, and so.
Which could be scary too.
Which is very
right?
scary.
In history,
Which is
we've seen
very,
that.
very, very scary. But as a not getting into the world power,
Yes.
into a PR and a marketing push, though, like that's just like
Yeah.
a general business 101. Like, what do you want people to be talking about? Like, what good things, what positive things is your message, and then
And
just
how can you make it,
literally
like,
talk about them.
Personable, I think, is like like being really authentic in your like my whole thing right now for this year has been like, let's talk about the things we're not talking about, and like being like vulnerable and authentic. And like I listened to a podcast the other day, and the person was like describing their life, and like wasn't always so easy, but like she's like this amazing accomplished business professional now. She's like part of like the UN delegation for entrepreneur. I don't remember the exact thing, but like
Legit
she's-
stuff.
Yeah, but like she she talked about her life, and I was like, I really appreciated that she kind of shared where she had been. And I just think like a lot of times we like put on masks, or we're like we
Right.
have to be certain ways, and I think people really actually connect more with like the authenticity that people bring. Actually, Reboot, who I work for, does this amazing project which I've been a part of, which I'm launching now in Chicago. So
Congrats.
it's called Death Over Dinner. This is Death Over Dinner Jewish edition, but there's some Jewish stuff about it, but I really feel like anyone could be a part of it. There's nothing too hardcore Jewish in it.
Right.
But it comes from a TED Talk created by Michael Hebe, who created Death Over Dinner. And then we adapted it to do the Jewish edition, and I hosted one in January which I did not want to host. I don't like talking about it. I was like, why am I having to do this? But, they suggested that I host it so I could really speak to it, which was smart. And now we actually did here in Sketchpad, we had, I partnered with an organization called Orote. It sold out. The first one, it's small. It's like 6 to 8 people. But we had such a response that we ended up having 2, and we barely marketed it. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up, and that, sounds scary on the surface, but the whole premise is like death is something we don't talk about, but
Right.
we all are faced with it. And the only time we talk about it really is like when we're
5 minutes in.
Or
something
like
really bad
when something happens,
yeah.
and then who do you talk to? Like you don't really talk to the people. You can't really process it, right? Because
Right.
you're like talking to a funeral director, an insurance person, like people you just met for the first time who like, you know. So but the conversations were actually really cool because it wasn't really talking about death. It was more talking about life.
Right.
Like, how do you want to live? What do you want to be remembered for? What brings meaning to you, to your life? They were actually also awesome because the first one I was in, it was intergenerational. So we had like
that's perfect.
20-year-olds to like 70 or 80-year-olds. So it was like very interesting, the perspectives. But I'm bringing it up because when I did the one in January, I had a bunch of friends and colleagues there, and we thought, you know what, let's create more dinners around different topics that we don't talk about. And so
Interesting.
that kind of like set off my year of like, I want to be authentic in my conversations, in my relationships, in my business relationships. So like, like full transparency. Like,
right.
What are we hiding? Another thing I heard on this podcast, which was interesting, was she talked about how people are so serious in business.
Yeah.
And she's like, like someone, like God forbid, like there's not a death or there's not like, like this is just business. And like we were talking about like having fun with it, being passionate about what you're doing. And like, and it happens to me too. Like I get caught up and stressed. We all do.
Right.
But kind of like that reality check again of like, I really wish one of my things would be that everybody will love what they're doing. I really hope that we can get to a place, and that just makes for better employees, right? If people like love what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and then a bunch of other stuff I could say with that about like fair wages and stuff. But,
right. Well,
but that's the main premise.
Loving what you do is exactly why I started on the drum path and this path, because I wasn't. And then the one quote that really, really, really inspired me, don't do what you like or something. It's like, do what makes you come alive, because the world needs more of that or something.
I love that.
And it was like, that's it. Like that's because once you really start thinking about like what really makes you come alive is like, okay, walk that path. And then
in everything.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And then it's a good way to like judge, because then, there's so many people, I think like negativity, I think that's why so many people don't do a lot of the things that they like, because they have like close friends or family that are like repressive.
Yeah.
Or oppressive, but just, people in their inner circle. And so if you can start to like push those away and then just get to the energized
the core
people
of yourself.
Which is again like this, because it's like, like the entrepreneurial people, like I just started networking this year, back in March, and it's just the people that I meet are just motivated.
Yeah.
Like for so long I was just like, I'd always ask my friends to do stuff. I was like, yeah, let's do this project. It's like, people are hemming and hawing. It's like, why? Like, you think there's something wrong with you, and then you meet motivated people, like the beer podcast. Like,
yeah.
Like, so this is the true story of how Two Beers in a Podcast started. We had a Monday breakfast at the networking breakfast where we just we both said we did the digital marketing. Thursday we had a coffee. That next Monday we sat down and filmed 2 episodes.
Amazing.
So like 3 hours, 2.5 hours of stuff.
I love that.
And then we've just stuck to Mondays. We're like, okay, this just works for us. Mondays at like 1 or 2, let's just get together. And then, like I was telling you, we just...
Nice. Beer at 1 or 2 on Monday.
I know. It's like such a good...
good way to start the week.
Spend like 3 hours, like 2 hours doing that, talking marketing. But, we did 20 episodes, and then we interviewed the guy from Temperance, and then the guy from Old Irving Brewing.
Oh, very cool.
Because we're just like, okay, let's just walk with somebody. Because so often... I think that's what I've noticed too, is like the accountability and coaches is just really locking in with somebody that you can connect with. And then it's like, because then you can, another quote was, you can, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
And
it's
so,
really
like,
about you doing the work. Like, my coach can tell me a million things, right? But
yeah,
if
exactly.
I don't do it.
Show up next week, like, yeah, well, I didn't.
And that's the hard part, is like, is like making sure you're like staying forward. But that's like kind of having the vision, right?
Right.
And thinking about and mapping out where you're going to go. But what you were saying about the person you're doing the podcast with and how you guys just kind of jumped into it, like, I love that, because I feel like my motto is pretty much like say yes to most things, within reason.
Right.
I don't want to get like too far stretched. And as you heard, I have a lot of projects I'm overseeing. And now I'm really like focusing on, I want like 2 big projects.
Right.
And then, my women's entrepreneurship thing. And then maybe I'll get to do podcasts and other stuff on this side, more creative stuff. But yeah, I think, a lot of people, as long as it aligns with you and you feel excited about it, I would say, like, you just never know.
Right.
I feel like some of my best things have been through saying yes and being, like, nervous and not even knowing,
Right.
What I was getting into or what. But, like, there was something about it that seemed intriguing enough that, and that's, like, what keeps life exciting, I think. And, you need to manage your time and make sure, like, things are worthwhile. But,
100%.
like, yeah, there's definitely, like, a lot of people I think say no more than yeah.
And I think those were the people that I was around a lot, and then I was like, okay, well, so which is why I just started. Yeah, so that's why I just went to these events by myself. I was like, okay, well, let me go to this random morning networking, because I'm interested in it, and then. But, then you meet the yes people that are also doing scary things, because no one wants to go. Because everyone's afraid to begin with, and then once you meet people 3 times, they're like your friends, then you want to go. So it's like, And then another quote was, did you ever read The Startup of You?
No.
The founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, I think he wrote it. But his quote was, serendipity only happens in motion. Which is like another, I think it was just 2 months ago that I just read that, but that, like, because everything that I didn't want to go to, felt a little hesitation, and then I go, something awesome. Like, there's always one cool thing.
That happens to me so much. The things I like, I'm like nervous to go to, or I'm hesitant, and then like these amazing things come out of it, and I'm like, see, you should go.
Yeah, it's
you
like
need to push yourself.
It proves like, okay, I need to go to. Because you really never know who you meet. There's so many things like that,
right?
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym or working out. It's like, I don't really want to go. And then you go and you're like, I feel amazing.
Right. And you have the idea. That's where you have the clarity.
Yeah.
That's what's key, is the clarity from working out to have your good ideas.
Well, I always feel like also with like projects and business, like the idea is like 80% of it. Like once you have the idea, it's like, I feel like if you have the vision, then the rest of the stuff is like, for me, I just consider that like 10 or, I know it's a much bigger percentage-wise of what you're working on, but I feel like if you have the vision, that's like, for me, that's so exciting when I meet entrepreneurs like that who are like really passionate about something. And I think where people get tied up is like they start to get drained because they're like, I've been thinking about this thing for so long, but I don't do it. Right.
Still good. So on that.
Do you want to focus on
No, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. I feel like I talked about. Are we being recorded still? But
yeah, but that's okay.
No, I don't want to sound like too all over the place with my projects, because I think that's like the one thing I'm working on is like
focus.
Well, like I'm overwhelming people with all the things I do, and then it's like, I think for my video I need to just talk about the women's.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah, so
video
will
different. Just do that. Yeah, this
as long
is
as
like
it doesn't sound like too, like if it makes sense what I do.
I think all these things. So back. I think all these things are in the same vein.
Right.
And I think that like you knew to follow the road not taken kind of thing, because you knew that you would meet 3 to 4 different things that are still pushing it forward.
Yeah.
So like the way I hear it doesn't sound like, oh, like if you were running a coffee, well, see, because even a coffee shop with an entrepreneur group and like, like as long as you you can connect them somehow.
Yeah.
Like that's me for a while. I thought with my drumming wouldn't connect to video, but the more it is all relevant. Like I can actually combine my sense of tempo goes with editing video because like that's how I just think about everything. Like when things are too much or too little. So like I think it's all part of your big picture.
Yeah. So actually, so it's something that I keep like, are we being recorded now?
Yeah.
This might be good. Okay. Yeah. So it's something I keep, I guess like, well, so I think in some networking things I went to, you know, people are like in specific industries sometimes.
Right.
Like they're like you could be like, I do video or I do real estate
Mortgage
or whatever
guy,
it
yeah.
is. But the fact is that we're all multifaceted. We all have many talents. Like I didn't know you were a drummer until right now.
Right.
And that you have a beer podcast and all these other amazing things. Right. So everyone has like all these different areas. And so I think I was getting hung up because it's like people were saying specific industries. And then I would say project management. And then it would be like, well, I have to pigeonhole you. Like you're a marketer or you're, you know, or you're an event planner. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can do social media and I can do marketing strategy and I can put on big events. But like, those are all parts of like project management.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, you know, they're not the whole thing. So I can't really be pigeonholed into that.
Right.
But actually, I heard this podcast the other day. I don't listen to podcasts that much, but this one I guess was influential because I keep referencing
Maybe
it.
you should.
But the woman also was saying it, and she was saying that, yeah, she was exactly saying the exact same thing. That, and it really spoke to me about how people are multifaceted, and you can, like, you know, she's an author, but she's also like, I don't know, doing a podcast. She's also a speaker. Like, she's doing all these different things, and I actually feel like the world is turning in that way.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting, and the good side, I think, of like technology and of being connected and like showing all the different, you know, so that's maybe why not everyone, but a lot of people are entrepreneurs now because they feel empowered and they see like they can focus on a lot of the things they're interested in, their skills, and actually make money from it. Yeah, and I met with someone yesterday, and she, you know, she started off as like a wedding planner, but then she also like does events, and now she's starting a co-working space for women, and she also teaches at a college. So like I was so happy to meet her because I feel like I'm also doing like all those different things, but you know, and I think that's okay. Like, yeah, you know,
it is, and I agree. It's the way it's moving forward. I mean, for now, you know, this is a weird time because the economy is so good,
right?
In general, so it's like,
please stay.
I know, yeah. We're like 2 years past
for entrepreneurs, you want
past our welcome, but at the same point, though, like I feel like true, you know, entrepreneurial people will, you know, I mean, like I was in the financial industry at 08 and 09, which is like the worst time to be in it, and you just like weather it because it's just what you do, you know, like you're just interested in it, and it's like so you've pick something else up in the meantime, and then once the other thing, you know, you just keep pivoting and moving along. I thought I was going to say something else, but you can talk.
No, I'm interested in like so I know you had like an art store.
Yes.
And so when you left your trading and you did that for 8 years, what were you doing anything before that?
My background was animation. That's what I went to college for, and then Then I was
like ahead of the times, I feel
like. I was computer animation right when like Toy Story, I think right after Toy Story came out.
Okay.
And it was like Bug's Life, I think it was.
Okay.
The Pixar movies. So it was them and Blue Sky, the Ice Age people. So those were like the two big. I went to SIGGRAPH, which is the animation conference out in California. Those were like the two that you wanted to, you know, do. But to pursue, you needed to like at that time, you should be out in California. And my personality was not for the time-consuming animation stuff. Uh-huh. So I left a post-production thing, and then I got into mortgages through a family connection.
So different.
And then trading. Yeah, well, I just wanted to start a life kind of thing, you know, because there was no money, and I was like, well, I just want to get out of my house and, like, feel comfortable, so.
No, and I think it's great now that you have, like, so many different skills and you know, that I'm sure help your business.
I think because I think if I were an artist without any of that stuff, I would be like, that's why I go to all these events.
Yeah.
Like if I was just an artist before that, I probably would like stay at home and be like, why aren't people calling? Because I have this business. But like now I know that all businesses is marketing and sales and customer service.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yep.
all any business
And
is.
relationships.
Customer service.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, relationships.
And partnering, like I love. I'm like a big fan, advocate of that. I've like kind of done that my whole professional career, especially when you're working with nonprofits and there's like limited resources.
Oh, yeah, you need.
And I always feel like if you have a good partner, so strategic partnerships is like another big thing I do. But if you have a good partner, like you're not competing, you're actually like, you can like further both of your missions and work together to create something amazing. So I love doing that.
That's what some of my business recently has come from, a photographer, just helping, like,
Awesome.
You would kind of think, oh, maybe video and photography, but I was assisting on some projects with him and then doing some little video stuff, so we may partner even more. So it's like,
that's great.
That's an interesting mindset too, because I think you can be scared of people, or how do we work together? And then that's like, it almost opens it all up, because then you're like, you're not trying to shut someone down. You're like, how do we actually do stuff together? Like me and the writer doing the beer podcast, like we are on the same kind of boat. So it's like, well, someone needs a script and someone needs copy for their, for their ads. And I know how to pitch a message and kind of do the visuals and all this stuff. So our thing is, he's the word guy, I'm the visual guy. That's like our, tag. And
nice
partners. Mm-hmm. Which is why, again, with this, after we met, I was just like, you have good stuff.
Thank you for inviting me and for this opportunity.
Thank you for, I always call people guinea pigs, but thank you.
It's my pleasure.
For trusting, rather.
No, it's been great. It's a good way to start the day.
Right? Because it's early.
I'm feeling motivated.
Good. See? So we should, do you want to not pitch, but do you want to give more of a heads up on project management, like some of your tentacles?
Like
just
best
to
practices?
Like break it down a little, and maybe best practices, or like little.
Yeah, I should probably, I've been thinking about like put some sort of like form or sheet together.
This could help.
Yeah. So
you'll look back at it and you'll be like, oh, that's what's nice. Just to cut you off. Nice about video. They're like, so many times it's hard. Like for me, writing is tough, but if you record it and then you can just, spend $3 to transcribe it digitally, then you have that written.
That's great.
It's in your voice anyways, and you just edit it, like.
No, that's great.
So there's certain ways to get over it. And
so, I mean, I say I help launch things, so what does that mean? So I really think, like I was saying, it starts with the vision. So it's like, what are you trying to do? So whether it's like, I use like real life examples of who I'm working with, a national organization who wants a local presence. And then it's like every component you would need to kind of build a business, to somebody doing like a series of networking events. Maybe they want to do 6 networking events. And then it's like, who's your target audience? It's like really thinking about all the pieces, and then it's putting together a plan. And then, so that includes like a budget. Mm-hmm. That includes, you really need like a strategy of like, and goals of like, what are you trying to achieve and how are you going to get there? Who can you partner with on it? Who is your audience? Who are you marketing to? What's your message? They're almost like little mini businesses, I would say, in a sense, depending on what it is. But, like with the Thailand trip, for example, we partner with an organization who puts together all logistics for the trip. Like, I am not an expert on Thailand. They've done several trips around the world. They were looking to partner with us because they have a big East Coast presence and not as much in Midwest. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine contacted me, and now we're working together. We both do marketing, but he's more of like, I do a lot of networking too, but he's in several networking things all the time, and I'm doing more of like the social media, like relationships, one-on-one, seeing who's interested, partnerships, like, stuff. Talking to chambers about it, and That was for another trip we were doing. We were more focused on entrepreneurs. For this, it was also like the strategy. So we just had Thailand, but we were like, who's our audience? And then I saw that a lot of like 20 and 30 somethings were coming to me, and they were like, we want a young adult trip. Which here in Chicago, we define young adults as 21 to 39. From my work in other places, when I say young adult, they think teenagers. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Gotcha.
We could be young adults till we're 50. Who knows?
It keeps going up.
Yeah, people are living longer. But
and
yeah.
Just acting younger, too.
So that was sort of like a pivot, right? With like the strategy of that project was like, okay, that's our audience now. And like, what kind of trip is this going to be? And, and so that I'm more focused on like the marketing, but like strategically we could have like an info session about it too. If people were interested, like building those parts in, or, I took a group to Cuba and we did like, we did a couple info sessions where people who ended up going on the trip came to those and found out about it. 'Cause it's that like personal touch. It's like different than like seeing something online, but then when you meet someone or you hear about it, if you feel connected to the people going, and then we had like a gathering of all the people going. So there's like different steps to create this project. And I'm giving all these examples because each one is so different, depending on what it is. In my program that I'm launching, the Women's Entrepreneurship Program, I guess in a sense it's learning different components of project management to help people launch their projects, which are their businesses.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I guess, parts of a business plan is another way of looking at it. But there's like degrees out there for project management, and a friend of mine was saying, well, yours is like an untraditional, because I guess like there's project managements who work with like specific industries, right? Like maybe just like the medical, like I've seen a lot of like jobs for like project management with like medical or tech. And so for me, that's not really like my sweet spot. I would say I'm not opposed to working with that depending on what they want, what kind of project. But I have a lot of experience with like nonprofits, small businesses, or for-profits, but it could be like a specific project within what they're doing. Like maybe there's a for-profit who wants to start a leadership training program for their employees. I don't know, just making that up. Something like that.
But who knows?
Shy Tribe, who I'm working with as a volunteer, it was like, so that's a perfect example. It was like they had a vision that they wanted to create something here. I really, my role has been a lot to get them to focus on their messaging, so that they're not like doing a million things, but they're doing a few things really well. Right. So now we've gone to focus. And also like you don't want to compete, right? So what else is out there that's similar to what you're doing? And this is what we do in the entrepreneurship program too. But like it's an environmental scan. Like what's out there that's similar to what you're doing, so you know who you can partner with or learn from. But also, what's your unique angle? Because we don't need like a million of the same thing, right? So like, let's use co-working spaces for an example. There's a lot of co-working spaces, but hopefully each one is having their own unique angle. Like there's one for women, there might be one, there's women's co-working, there might be more tech focused, there might be more, I don't know, other ones out there, but you get the idea. Different neighborhoods, geographic. Right. So it's like really kind of focusing on that messaging. So, and then like strategizing what else can come out from that. Does that explain it?
Yes, I think it does. So it really comes down to wrangling someone down from the broad idea to narrow lane to give them sort of actionable things.
Yes, but it depends. And so
depending on the end goal, but still.
But it can be like a small project. It can be a one-day thing to like an entire organization's strategy, vision, and then, and so events are part of that in marketing, like I said, too. But yeah, it's like honing in on your message. What I was going to say is that my business, Community Connect, now it's Community Connect Consulting, but the original model was supposed to be like one stop where you could find all these different consultants with different skills. The reason I created it is because people still come to me every day. Do you know this? Do you know this? It can be anything from like do you know a band who's in this price range to
Right.
do you know a video person? Do you know a graphic designer?
Right.
So I thought it'd be great to have this like umbrella, and it was going to be very localized because
Becky's list.
yeah, exactly. And Angie's list of consultants is exactly how I was describing it. But very local. The whole
Right.
idea was like you have experts in your own community. You don't need to like fly in a speaker. If the model worked here, I was going to then franchise it around the world essentially, and it would form community so the people who are a part of it aren't just names on the list, but like they would get together for their own networking. That might be eventually where I end up going, but I've started more on the project management side, but I do bring in consultants. So like for the teen program that I just ran for the last 2 years, is like a 10-day teen program. They heard from different entrepreneurs and different experts, so that was me bringing in different consultants, and I'm not an expert in every area. And that's the same with these projects. Like maybe I have someone who's great at like development work, or maybe I have someone who's a grant writer, like, so it's also like that's part of the strategy is like who can you bring in that's an expert in a certain area to help you achieve the ultimate goal and vision. So that's the only other part I would say that is a part of it too, is like it's like connecting dots a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's genius. The local, that's the, to bring up the beer podcast, but the kind of roundabout way that, and again, I don't know if this is just sign of the times because money's good, so people are comfortable spending a little more for craft stuff, but like local is really, like distributing beer is not the way to go.
Yeah.
But like being a brewery that serves 3-mile radius is
that.
like the way. Like bakeries or, like all the other kind of localized things. So
a lot of shop local.
Niching down to your just Chicago, women business owner, just doing that just puts it in an easy bucket. That's
and it's like, not an easy thing for me to do always, honestly.
Right, well, I'm sure
so
it's
I'm like,
not.
I want to work with everyone and I want to do everything.
But at least you can place it.
For the entrepreneurship program,
things.
I was like, you know what? This is like the first one of this iteration. Let's do like women. It won't just be Chicago though. It'll be national. I have a feeling we'll get a lot of Chicagoans because I'm based here.
Well, for that though, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was thinking about this earlier, that even though you're doing it online, I would assume this may naturally happen, or you could easily, I don't know if you're even thinking about it, but just like your weekly or monthly breakfast, like with the group, like no charge, but just like make it into a real person mastermind just to connect.
I love that.
And then then you film that for the online people. So at least, you set up
That's
2 cameras, you kind of put some, depending on how small, you can do 1 or 2 microphones. So it's like people just talking, and then it's like, here's extra, that could be like your premium content to like
that's
the
a great idea.
online thing. But like,
we're definitely going to be recording them, all the video sessions.
All online.
Yeah. And I made it like really affordable for this first iteration because, even though I've run a program similar to this in different capacities, I just want to, one, I want to make it affordable for people because I believe, like I said, all entrepreneurs need support and guidance. Right. I mean, when I ran that program, people were really sad when it was over because, one, they had this like, some of my closest friends came from that, honestly.
Exactly.
They had this supportive community. But 2, the structure was gone. So they're like, now I get to like go on my own.
Now I got to figure it out.
Yeah. So again. I just think something that's keeping you moving forward and giving you skills and contacts and a community to do that is like, I just think everyone needs to do that.
So great.
Yeah. And I would like to do it also for men and women. This one will just be for women, but.
Well, you could inspire me to be doing it for men.
That'd be cool.
That's the thing. Then
our groups could meet up.
Yeah. Then speed
that could
dating.
Be awesome. We might be onto something.
See, so that's the thing.
That's
then you just partner with, because I was actually just talking with a woman locally about doing. She's part of a speaker group, and we were talking. So.
Cool.
Exactly. So like you just take the idea and you just sort of. You push the idea to me, so I know, okay, I just need to market this and find people for this guys group, and then you sit in or whatever. So
I love these monthly breakfasts. That might be a new addition.
I think it's got to be.
That's a great idea. We were gonna do like an end networking event, but I think if we just all get together in person. The reason I made it national is because I think people can learn things from different
Right.
geographic areas, and I think that could be interesting. And like the world right now is like, so, like I'm going to Israel in a month and I'm working from there, and like that was always a dream of mine, that I could like spend part of my year
Right.
in Israel and part in Chicago. I love both places. And when I was there in March, it was the first time in 5 years that I'd been there. I was meeting different entrepreneurs and people, and somebody said, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, it's actually the first time in my life I actually can. And it's like, wow, this like dream now is coming to reality, because it's such a global world now that
Right.
like, once you have your computer, you can kind of like,
Studio comes to you.
yeah, you can work anywhere. It's really amazing. I'm excited also to go out there and see, they call it the startup nation. So I'm excited to see like what's going on there with the startup world, and maybe bringing some of those lessons back
You're going to be inspired.
Yeah.
A month of that, just make sure you get a brand new journal so you can just like
Yes.
daily what you saw and just kind of.
And who knows what collaborations will come out of that.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's really interesting. So
Actually, probably you should get a decent, I don't know if you have a good camera, but you should bring one. That would probably be
yeah.
easier.
And I love photography. That's like a side passion.
Well, then,
so
then pursue it.
yeah. All right. Well, so many good things are
See,
coming out of today. And I love writing, so now I have to go write down all this stuff. I don't forget.
Well, you'll have
the book name and getting a new camera.
You'll have notes, so you'll be that's what's nice about these like recorded, cool, fun conversations. This is like, 10 or 5 minutes in when I was like, we should just do this in front, because I feel like it could help us, like it helps us, but I think other people watching it can be like, oh, that's an interesting idea, so that's.
Yeah, I hope we will help other people, and I've definitely I feel like I've learned a lot today, so it's been awesome. It's so fun to like bounce off each other and think about. That's like really where I think entrepreneurs are creative.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you said you're an artist, it's like I feel like I'm very much like I need to be creative, and that's the whole like bringing the vision to life is like
Right.
It's so
the
fun.
artist in you.
Yeah. So I love that you like brought that part in.
Good, because at first I was wondering like, how does the artist fit?
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe I should stay back and just be like a businessy person. But then, thank you for saying that. And just the more, like just getting validated that like, okay, maybe I should be that creative side and pushing it in. So it's.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's good.
And you can tell you're passionate about that. So.
Good.
It's like,
thanks.
It's awesome that you're integrating it in. Yeah, you're inspiring me more too.
Good.
To do that too. I mean, I say even with the events I plan, I got to be creative because it's like thinking about, all the different aspects of it. And like, I feel like my creativity is like when I visualize it and then it's like happening. And,
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't get like too bogged down with all the logistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minutia. Well, and that's one more, because being a drummer too, like that's where I've always, like as an artist, like as a drummer, you can only do so much as a drummer. You need the guitar player and the bassist and the singer, like,
right.
so I just know that I just need other people to collaborate. And
Yeah.
like, it's only like I come up with my coolest stuff after I hear a guitar riff. Not like I don't usually hear it and then come in with it. It's like I hear what the guy plays, internalize it, and then come back with something cool. So it's like I know the back and forth is like, at least for me, progresses it. So like that's why I'm a true believer in collaboration, because bands do more than single dudes kind of thing, except mostly. So that's my thought. Thanks for watching or listening wherever this ends up getting posted. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You might see us together more. Hit me up
Over
for video.
Because now I really want beer.
See, now I'll bring you in for the beer thing.
It's Thursday, right? It's time.
Is it? Oh yeah, it is.
Or you could be like Michael and start on Monday.
That's like, it's, and I've limited, like before I used to be aggressive, and now it's just like social. So
Yeah.
like Monday, it's like I do it then. I don't even do it at band practice anymore. Like that, it used to be an excuse for a while. I was like, oh, we're getting together, let's have two. But now it's just, it's funny. It's like the beer is the work. Or like other networking events, then I'll be like, all right, I'll have a couple beers. But
Well, now there's all these co-working spaces with like beer on tap, right? So
though I don't think mine has it. 2112. I don't think they
Oh,
have.
you're out of there? I like that place.
They have a keg, but I don't think they have. I don't know if it's always. I tried it once and it didn't. It was empty, so I was like,
Oh.
I don't know who I need to get on and be like, hey. But anyways.
So my website is yourcommunityconnect.com. So YOUR communityconnect.com. And then I'm on Instagram under Your Community Connect. Facebook under Community Connects. I also have a group of about 700 people called Community Connect Consulting on Facebook. I really would love for people to use it as a platform to just showcase what they're working on, look for partnerships.
Guys and girls?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
I'll join
everybody is welcome to that. I was talking to someone about this yesterday because I think it's been a lot more of me posting. But I don't want it to be like Becky's platform. I want it to really be like a community platform of everyone sharing stuff. So once in a while, people will come to me and ask me to share something, and I'm like, put it on the Facebook group, and they do. But when I have time, I really want it to like become this culture of like just people like collaborating and sharing all the cool stuff they're working on. So that's happening. Other social media, I'm on LinkedIn under Becky Adelberg. Yeah.
That's good.
That's me.
So Facebook, is it Your Community Connect or is it just Community Connect?
Facebook is there's a page called.
The page.
I think it's Your Community Connect. Yeah.
All
Let me
right.
check.
I'll have it for whatever website this is on, or however you found, like YouTube
There's a
or
page
whatever.
and a group.
And then definitely join. I'm assuming. So if you go to yourcommunityconnect.com,
yes, but
you'll have links.
Yeah. On Facebook, it's Your Community Connect for the page.
For the page.
And the consulting group is Community Connect Consulting. And there are 647 members, and hopefully 648 now.
48.
And you can help me with getting that culture of collaboration more. Online is a whole other beast, right? But
I will say the first thing. What is it?
the group is
What did you
Community
just
Connect
say?
Consulting.
I think for some of the other groups that I see, I think it's like the question thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's funny. So many other groups, they do it as
that's a good idea to ask questions.
you gotta like just be. It's like the classroom. No one wanted to be the first person to ask the question. The second they do, 5 people ask the question. You just need that one person to like say first. Ask enough questions. Oh, questions like that. But like, you can just fish like literally what you were in this group. Sunday night thing.
It's hard because somebody
You're gonna probably get 10,
Right.
10 to 20 anyway. So it's like, yeah,
Hit the ball rolling.
I will. See,
That's a
well,
good idea. Like a question. I gotta write all this stuff
good.
down. I like it.
Glad to help. Thanks for listening to us. I hope you were inspired as well.